Hello and welcome to episode 164 of the Nintendo Fun Club podcast. I'm Ryan, and joining me, as always, is John.
What's up, Ryan? Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we recorded.
Has it been longer than our standard 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because I think we recorded the wrestling episode in like the middle of the week or something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
And that was a bit of
hopefully
a...
people are listening to that one over and over again too.
I think that was a bit of a one for us type episode, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
think I got a feeling you and I really like that episode, maybe disproportionately to how much it appeals to our audience, but who knows?
Well, a lot less people downloaded it. But yeah, here's we're back to
okay, so what should we make this episode about then? If nobody wanted to listen to our wrestling, like, should we do this one about like the Dark Souls, like the Dark Souls of every genre episode, maybe? Or
actually, I think people might like that.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Like to win the fans back.
Yeah.
All right, in this episode, we are ranking the top 50 Nintendo games ever made.
There you go. That'd probably do it. Yeah.
Nope. We're actually gonna talk a bunch about arcade games on Switch and The Wizard. So it's pretty on brand for us this episode. A bunch of Sega, some SNK, and Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. This has been like my favorite week or week and a half for video game announcements like ever, because just this weekend Sega announced Sega Ages for the Nintendo Switch. So that means we're getting some classic Sega games on the Nintendo Switch, and they are being handled by M2, who handled, they actually handled the back half of the PS2 Sega Ages collection, and they did some of the virtual console stuff and some of the 360 and PS3 Sega mini collections, and most recently, and I guess most relevant to like Nintendo fans, they did the Sega 3D Classics on the 3DS, which we have definitely talked about plenty on this show, but those are amazing, and I'm guessing that these Nintendo Switch Sega Ages games from M2 will be amazing.
I mean, this kind of seems like the continuation of that thing, basically, right? I mean, they're not 3D classics because it's not 3DS, and they're not going to be in 3D, etc. But like, this is like Sega having been pretty successful with bringing a bunch of old games, well emulated, like putting the effort into making sure it was done right by M2 on 3DS. I think that was pretty successful for them, a pretty big deal. And so it's like, let's keep doing this. Now, I know you were mentioning it, but like the Sega Ages thing is something that was on PS2 and PS3, or PS2 in Japan.
Yeah. They were actually boxed games there,
okay.
Like retail releases for each game, but like that line is so insane. Like you have stuff like Virtual On and Virtual Fighter 2 and like Dynamite Deca, Die Hard Arcade, like Phantasy Star remakes. Like that line is so incredible.
Yeah, so I guess like obviously you know more about that than I do, but I'm wondering, is this like, are they going back and grabbing games that they did for Sega Ages then, or is this just like a continuation of that brand, but these are going to be new, ports of games that didn't, I guess is it like a port of the Sega Ages games that were on those platforms, porting them to Switch, or are they kind of like doing new ports of these games to the Switch?
Yeah,
which
so
almost sounds like the same
there's
thing. But
a lot of questions about this,
uh,
because it's also interesting that they're starting off with like a few Mega Drive games, and that Genesis Mega Drive collection is coming out on like PS4 and Xbox One.
mhm.
And when that was announced, a lot of people were kind of wondering like, why isn't that coming to Switch? And it's possible that this is why it's not coming to Switch. So like, those Genesis collections, which have been coming out forever. Like they came out on like PS2 and PSP, and then Xbox 360, um and all that. Like those collections are fine. Like they're okay, like versions of the games. Like I think they're emulated pretty well. Totally fine. But I think like the Sega 3D classics are like on a completely different level. Even though they're more like there's not as many of them, but like there's more effort put into them. But then you I have to say that these are not likely to be the PS2 releases, because I actually don't think that there was a Sega Ages Sonic collection, which is kind of weird. But those games had like a ton of re-releases, and they had like the Sonic Classic collections and stuff like that. But I'm also not sure if there was a Thunder Force collection in the PS2 Sega Ages releases either. But I do know there was the Phantasy Star collection on PS2, which is really fascinating because it was only released for Japanese PS2. Um, and it had like great versions of all four games, and it had like the Game Gear games and stuff. But what was really cool about that release is you could switch between the Japanese and the North American releases. So you could actually play the games in English with all of the extra options that were in there. And like some of the options include like a lot of quality of life stuff. And specifically for the first Phantasy Star, in the Japanese release, you could switch between the original like Sega Master System audio, or the Master System actually had in Japan had like this FM cartridge that could that you could get for your Master System there, and it like dramatically increased the sound quality. It's kind of like like the chip in like Castlevania 3, comparing those versions between the Famicom version and the NES version. And it like the difference is huge. Like the FM sound in Phantasy Star is pretty incredible. But you could like switch between that, at least in the Japanese version of Phantasy Star. But also there was just all these quality of life improvements, like faster walking speed. Enemies give you more money and more experience, so you don't have to grind as much. The dungeons in the original Phantasy Star are first person perspective, which is like insane for a game released in I think 1988. And like, but when you're moving through dungeons, it's like really kind of choppy. Like I don't know, it feels kind of like moving in like Shadowgate or something on NES, where it's just stop and go. But there was an option in the Phantasy Star collection to like turn on like movement smoothing, so it actually feels like it like goes like way smoother. And like that was something that M2 like programmed in there, and it made like a dramatic difference in how the game felt. So I'm wondering if, they're going to like give that kind of treatment to these games. And I think for Fantasy Star, like they could pretty much just use um the version that was in the collection, and having that on Switch would be incredible. Um, but like there's so many different ways this could go. And like I don't know if these games, they seem like they're going to be released piecemeal, like on the eShop,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it will be a case where they're like released on the eShop for a while and then for like, 8 or 10 bucks each, and then in a few months down the road they do like a packaged edition like they did with the 3D classics. I really, really don't know how they're going to do this, because there's like Sega definitely doesn't have like a unified strategy for releasing their old games, and they've done so many different things of so many different levels of quality. I'm really happy that it's M2 here, but I really don't know what form these games will take.
Yeah. I also thought about the retail release component like being probably something that could happen, because that seems to be very much a strategy on Switch, is like release stuff digitally, then 6 months later put it out retail or whatever. At least for some companies. So, which that was cool. I like that on the 3DS actually, the way that those 3D classics came out and then they did get collected, and it was kind of like a because I wasn't buying all of them. You know what I mean? I bought like a couple, the ones I really wanted, but then it was cool to get the collections and or the collection, I guess. No, there were two, right? I think there were two that were released in the US.
There's only one released in the US. There were
one in the US.
3 released in Japan.
Okay. But anyways, yeah. No, that's cool. I just I think the titling, the Sega Ages thing is exciting, just because there's like, the implication of it being like some really, just knowing M2 is doing it is enough anyway. But then calling it Sega Ages is referencing, like you said, these really, really well respected and good ports of these games. So yeah, it should be very cool.
Yeah, and it sounds like we're getting ports from all different platforms too. So we're getting like Thunder Force 4 and Sonic from the Genesis or Mega Drive, Phantasy Star from the Master System, and then Alex Kidd from the Master System, and then Game Ground seems to be the arcade port. So I guess that is in line with what Sega did with and M2 did with the 3D classics, having games from like all different platforms. But yeah, I mean, I hope we get a lot, and like there's a big to-do made recently, because this was all coming from Sega's convention. Like there was like a Sega convention in Japan this weekend, which just sounds amazing. But yeah, and then someone from Sega also said like, well, we're not ruling out Saturn and Dreamcast games for the Sega Ages collection, but there's no plans right now. And then it's just like, oh my goodness. Like if that starts, like, oh man.
Yeah. And these are Switch only?
This seems to be Switch only as of right now.
Cool.
So this kind of tells me like we're probably not getting the Mega Drive or Genesis collection on the Switch. I mean, maybe we will, but that like it seems like this is the way these games are going to be released on Switch. So, which I'm okay with, because I mean, I own all those Genesis games in some other form already, and I'm probably going to buy I'm definitely going to buy it on PS4 or Xbox One, because it comes with a Streets of Rage poster. So I'll have to at least buy it. But yeah, but I'm also fine with like these releases.
Yeah, I have a lot of those Genesis games on PC and also on PS3, I think. And
Hmm.
yeah, like I'm actually definitely more interested in the more in-depth sort of individual releases, assuming they're going to be better
Hmm.
versions. So I
Yeah.
would prefer that myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if they want to bring over all the games that were released as Sega 3D classics on the Switch, like I would totally buy those again.
Yeah, it has been this the Switch has been out for what, like 14 months now.
Mhm.
And that seems too long to go without Outrun on the Switch, I think. So,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah,
ASAP, please.
yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Cool.
How many summers have to go by where I can't like hang out outside and play Outrun somewhere,
Oh my
you know,
God. Yeah, just
by
man,
a pool or in a
take
car?
your Switch to the beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sitting in a convertible.
Or do a summer road trip where you sort of like travel from each of the locations, in Outrun, like play it in the mountains, play it in the desert, play it by the beach,
Mm.
play it in some cornfield somewhere, or whatever, wheat field. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that would be cool. Play it at Stonehenge or whatever, that
Yeah,
would
for
be,
sure. Obviously. Oh my
yeah.
God. I need to play Outrun at Stonehenge at some point.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, most definitely. And like Gunstar Heroes, like why can't I play that on my Switch like
Mm.
now? Like I need that. Um, cool. So yeah, that's great news. I don't know if these were announced for North American release at all.
Yeah, but that's a foregone conclusion, and I guess worst case scenario,
I
you have to
just
get some Japanese eShop credit.
Yeah, it's like not a big deal at all.
Right, right.
Though like I do want like Fantasy Star in English
Hmm.
on there, but man, I'm really excited about Thunder Force 4 because I really really enjoyed Thunder Force 3 when it came to 3DS. I bought the Japanese retail version to get that, and like that game is so rad. And I've never actually played 4, and like actual Genesis cartridges are pretty pricey
Okay.
for that, so I'm really excited to get that.
Yeah,
But
it seems like the kind of game that might benefit from those difficulty settings and stuff you were talking about too, right? Like,
oh, for sure,
yeah.
yeah. Those games are ragers. All right. So in like the other best news ever from recently, uh, as far as like retro games coming to Switch, SNK 40th Anniversary Collection announced exclusively for Switch as of right now. Um, and this is like, it seems to be like pre Neo Geo. Uh, SNK games, which is really fascinating because a lot of these games don't really get um, don't really get much attention. Uh, so some of the highlights here include Alpha Mission, which like the Alpha Mission 2 did come to Neo Geo, and that's a really fun shooter. I've never actually played the first one, but with that, you're getting the arcade version and the NES/Famicom version, which is cool. Athena, getting the arcade and NES version of that. Crystallis, or Crystallis if you're nasty, and that game is so good. Have you ever played Crystallis on NES?
I have not.
Oh man, I think you will really like it. It's a Zelda-esque action RPG.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's kind of like a cross between like Zelda and Seiken Densetsu, and it's so fun, and the music is so good. It's one of like the only a couple RPGs that SNK ever made. Like this, Kodelka on PlayStation, and like the Samurai Showdown RPG are like the only ones I can think of. But yeah, it's a super super cool game. Um, Ikari Warriors, 1, 2, and 3. Um, are all going to be coming, and they're going to be the arcade and the home versions. So you can play the totally sweet arcade versions or the really bad NES ports um, on here. And then kind of flipping it, Guerrilla War is which is like an awesome game about like liberating Cuba. Um, and that you're getting the arcade and home versions, and I actually prefer the NES port in this case to the arcade version.
Hmm.
um,
My neighbor had Guerrilla War when I was a kid, and so yeah, I played that a bunch on the NES. But I haven't
nice.
thought about it too much or played it in 25 years, if not more. So yeah, I'm excited to check that one out on the collection for sure.
Yeah, it's super fun. Like I like that game a lot. POW, which is a game that like I remember playing at a friend's house on NES and thinking it was pretty cool, but I've not spent a ton of time with it. But you're getting the arcade and the NES version there. Uh, Prehistoric Isle in 1930. I don't actually even know what this game is, but it sounds awesome.
Hmm.
And another highlight for me is Psycho Soldier, which is a wonderful side-scrolling action game. It's the debut of, I, I think it's the debut of Athena. I don't remember if her game came out first or Psycho Soldier did, but the best part about this game is there is a vocal theme song that plays the entire time,
Oh,
and it is really wonderful. um, but yeah, if you've played any of like the King of Fighters games, there's always like references to the Psycho Soldier team, and that theme song makes appearances in a lot of SNK games in different forms. So yeah, it's awesome. Street Smart. I don't know what that is. I've never actually played that. TNK3. I don't actually know what that is either, but the arcade and the home versions are coming. Vanguard, I have never played. And then Victory Road, which is Akari Warriors 2. And then there are more games to be announced. So this already seems like a pretty great collection. Uh, and I think it's priced at $40 for the regular edition. So even just like with with the um, games that are already there, I think like that's a pretty sweet deal. Um, I actually pre-ordered the special edition from the NIS America store, which is only $65. But it comes with a CD soundtrack, whatever. But it comes in a collector's box with a 40th anniversary art collection hardcover art book, which is kind of the main reason I actually ordered it. So I'm pretty excited for this collection. And again, like uh, there's also a museum mode um, in here as well. It says an extensive history of SNK and its games await in the museum mode. explore the legacy of one of Japan's leading developers with high definition artwork and original promotional assets.
Wow.
So this is just shaping up to be a really, really cool collection. I'm super stoked for it. I think, just having Crystallis on Switch is worth $40 on its own, but we're getting so much more, and it will be so fun to go between the being able to choose between the arcade and the NES versions of these games. Yeah, I think this is so cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm tempted by this limited edition. I'm not really familiar with a lot of these games, but like the one screenshot of the book looks like really nice. Like it seems like a really cool book, and yeah, it does seem like a nice package for sure. I mean, I definitely think I'll get the game one way or another. Do you know if the $40 version? It doesn't really say on the site here if it's that's a retail release as well, or if that's digital only. I'm assuming it's retail too, but
yeah, I saw it for pre-order
somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, it's up on Amazon. SNK 40th anniversary collection retail release, $40. So
okay,
32 if you have.
I know that's what I'm thinking. Like 32 for that, or it's like almost $30 for basically the book is what I would be getting for the $30 because I don't care about the CD. So
yeah,
that is tempting, but maybe I should probably just stick with the regular version. But
yeah, I mean,
especially since it's got that like museum mode in there. It seems like like a lot of the stuff you'd want to see in the book is like promotional stuff and all that. And like maybe if I can kind of look at that in the game.
Totally.
I still want the book though. I want the book. I mean, I
want the book.
I know. I'm
buying it. I want the book.
Yeah, I would like that also, but and then you got to pay shipping too, probably.
Yeah, and their shipping is not cheap. It's pretty absurd.
That just did it for me. That just did.
Yeah.
And do they charge you now when you pre-order, like, or do they charge you when it ships? I think
they did.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll probably get the regular version, but either way, cool.
Yeah. I don't even know where my receipt is for this. But yeah, it's
okay, well, yeah, we don't have to
no, I'm doing it. Yeah. It's it's $9.85 for shipping.
Okay. And they did charge you.
They did charge me, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well,
so it's $75.
Right. Okay.
For that. Yeah, and like they actually have like a ton of really cool special editions over at the NIS store, like that are exclusive to them, and I really like them for like East 8 and SNK Heroines, but this was the one where I was like, I have to get this one. The other ones I'm still kind of like on the fence on because they're like expensive and shipping's expensive and all that, but this one I had to get.
Well, I was just going to say that if there was something else on the site that you wanted, the shipping is free over $75. So you're like kind of close to that anyway, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, though, when you do your orders from them, you need to do all your orders separate because they don't ship until everything in your order is released.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, like the SNK Heroines collection is $120, and the East one I think is $100. So it's like, well, you just do those as separate orders. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Like the SNK Heroines one is ridiculous. Like I really want it, mostly for the art book, but you also get like a towel and like a tank top and a Fatal Cutie hat. Which I don't know. I guess I could rock all those. Be a good look.
Yeah,
I guess. So anyways, yeah. Regardless, SNK 40th Anniversary Collection. Super cool. Super stoked. I'm curious to see what the other games are that are on here, but I guess we'll see. But I really love the fact that you get the arcade and the NES versions with these. And maybe that's why it's like Switch exclusive. Because you're getting the NES and Famicom versions, and maybe there was some like weird licensing deal years ago. Who knows? But I'd like to get the NES versions of Baseball Stars. Even though those were like also Neo Geo games, which is not really what this collection is about, but those would be cool, and those I don't think ever really get released on digital platforms. So,
okay,
I don't know. Cool. So, let's talk about some games we've been playing. What's something you've been playing?
Oh no. Well, I do want to say I joined the 120 club in Breath of the Wild. Since we last recorded. Yep, I got all 120 shrines. So that is cool. I'm pretty much ready to start the DLC now. So when the time is right, I will probably jump into that. But otherwise, I haven't been playing too much new. Still tons of Rocket League. I got my WWE Rocket League wheels on WrestleMania weekend because the WrestleMania stuff came out for Rocket League.
I didn't even know it did.
Oh, you didn't catch that? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So you had to go into the bonus, or there's like an extras thing in the menu or something, and then the code was WrestleMania. So I would assume that still works, and you get 2 items then, and then I don't really know how you unlock the rest of them. I know you can trade with people. Oh, he's grabbing his Switch now. This can't wait. I've got to do it. But yeah, I don't know how you get the other items because there's like flags and stuff. I didn't get a flag. I really want like a flag on my car, a WWE flag. But I have WWE theme wheels, and I have a SmackDown Live like banner, like down at the bottom, like where you're like, yeah, you can have a banner down there. So it's SmackDown Live now. So, but yeah, I think there's something like 16 items maybe in the game right now that are WWE themed, and I only have 2 of them. So yeah, I need to get more.
Whoa. Okay. Well, I have a 56-minute download.
Oh, is it the Rocket League update?
Yeah, seems like it. So,
okay.
That's downloading. So I guess by the time we finish this episode, I'll be able to put in that code WrestleMania. Okay.
I gotta say, man, like we don't want to scare our listeners away because apparently they don't like the wrestling episodes, but I've never seen you like that, or it's been a while since I've seen you that excited. Like you physically, sort of hopped when I said it's in the game. I don't know. You just, I can see that you're very excited for this. So that's cool.
Well, I just got done talking about classic Sega and SNK games, and then you bring up wrestling. Yeah, I'm pretty amped.
Yeah. Well, so that's what I've been playing on Switch. I've been playing Rocket League and Zelda, which I think I've said on like the last 4 episodes or something.
Yeah.
But I did play a little bit of Karate Kid on the NES as well. That's not a great game. No. But
is that an LJN joint?
Yes, it is. It is LJN. But no, my wife and my kids and I watched Karate Kid and Karate Kid 2 over the last couple of weeks. Which
the reboot?
No, the original. Yeah. Okay. The original, Mr. Miyagi and Daniel LaRusso, of course. Elizabeth Shue is in Karate Kid 1. She is the best, so that was good. I love Elizabeth Shue. Yeah. But anyway, Karate Kid's great. Those movies are great. It was fun. Although 2 actually is decidedly less great than 1 by a large margin. Like it's not even close, but it was still fun to watch.
The 80s sequel curse.
Yeah. So, but Karate Kid on NES, I did play that game as a kid, and I had memories of the beach level when you're like on this like beach, and I don't know. It's a pretty small game, short game. I only played the first 2 levels. The first level you start out, and it's like the tournament from the end of the first Karate Kid movie, and it's like you got to get through a couple opponents and defeat what's his name from the Cobra Kai, Johnny. Yeah, Johnny.
Yeah,
You got to
sweep
sweep
the leg, Johnny.
Yeah. So you do that. That takes about like 3 minutes to do, and then you're on to level 2, and level 2 is a side scroller. But it is interesting that there's like different modes in this game, because level 2 is like a side scroller, and you're just beating up a bunch of thugs, like in Okinawa, which is
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. So it jumps around a little bit. I like the splash screen; looks great. Like the 8-bit portraits of Daniel and Mr. Miyagi. So, but no, it's not a super memorable game or anything. It's pretty middling to bad, I would say. But
so like in the side scrolling segments, I've never actually played this game. Do you just fight thugs, or do you fight like giant scorpions and stuff too?
no, it's not like the Super Star Wars games or something where they take like the movie license and then like just go crazy with it. Like
yeah,
you just fight like it's pretty grounded in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So, but I only played the first 2 levels. I read a little bit about it on Wikipedia afterwards, and apparently it's only 4 levels long. So, but yeah, I died in level 2 and started to be back at the beginning of the game, and I thought, okay, that was it's a fun little stroll through Karate Kid on NES, but probably not gonna spend any more time with it because it's not that great. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So that's that. Do you want me to talk about my last item, or do you want to go into something you've been playing?
Let's save yours for the end. I think that's the main event.
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be pretty
in wrestling terms.
Oh, all right.
Because wrestling is very good, and you should listen to our last episode.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah, so actually, like, also it would be interesting to, if you haven't listened to the last episode, it would be interesting to listen to now and see how very wrong our WrestleMania predictions were.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Well, maybe we're 50-50. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
There were some shocking moments. There were definitely some shocking moments, but we were right on Ronda Rousey. We were right on Daniel Bryan. We were right on I was right on the 50-man battle royale. I said Matt Hardy. So, but yeah, we did miss a couple of knowable ones, that's for sure. So
yeah. We'll have to have a post WrestleMania episode.
No,
we're not.
Yeah, we better not do that.
No. Okay, so something I have been playing is I've been messing with my Switch setup and getting a mini Tate arcade going. So I bought the Hori compact play stand, which is like the stand you see everywhere. And it's like $12 or whatever, and it's really good. It like does the job really well of holding a Switch and being like, and then it like packs up real nicely and becomes small. And yeah, it's an awesome stand for your Switch and for playing in tabletop mode. But the main reason I got it was to play Tate mode in like shooters and stuff. And I also recently purchased the 8-bit Do N30 arcade stick for the Switch because it was super cheap on Amazon. It was already like a decently priced stick for the price of sticks. It was, I think, retailed for $80 originally.
Yeah, it's I think it was.
And then it went on sale for $45. And so I decided to give it a go. And I would definitely say it's worth $45 for sure. my personal jury is still out on whether it's worth $80. Um, because I think it's okay to when it's functional, it's pretty functional. It's pretty good. I don't love the fact that it's clicky. It's a clicky stick, which I kind of don't prefer, but the stick is responsive. Just the clicks just kind of annoy me. Like it's just an extra sound over the sound of the game you're playing, and especially when I'm playing the way I have been lately, which is with my Switch on the stand, like right in front of the stick, or I guess I should say right behind the stick. The Switch speakers are fine, but it's not like super loud. And like the clicking is pretty loud, and I don't know. I don't love that aspect of it, but your mileage may vary. You may not care or may not even notice it, whatever. But the buttons feel fine. They're like a little loose, but nothing really wrong with that. Apparently the stick is like super easily customizable, and people have been like swapping out the stick and the buttons for like Mayflash or Sanwa parts, and that's like easy to do. I'm not really that hardcore to actually go through with that. But that's definitely an option, and you can like easily get those parts on Amazon these days. So yeah, that like actually playing with it, I've mostly been playing shooters. I have messed with some fighting games, some like Mark of the Wolves and King of Fighters 99, and those work pretty well. You'll like, I don't know if you're anything like me, you'll want to go in and change up the buttons a little bit. But yeah, you can totally do that in the options of like those SNK arcade classics and everything. So that's cool. But to get the stick functioning though is kind of where like my biggest issues are with it, because you need to update it first, and the update is not a pleasant experience, because it's something you have to like go to their website and download a zip file, and then do like a button combination on the stick and have it like hooked up via USB to your computer, and it's just a weird process, and you just have to, I mean, you just follow the steps and it's fine, but it's also like, this is kind of ridiculous to like have to jump through all these hoops just for like an update or whatever. And like, I think you pretty much have to do the update for the Switch to even recognize the stick, which is kind of a bummer. But then but you only do that once, and then it's fine. Hopefully they won't need to update it again, because I don't like want to have to do that like every month or whatever. But the issue that I've been having with it is pretty much every time I turn it on, the syncing has been kind of inconsistent. So the first time it took me forever to get it to like get the Switch to actually recognize the stick. And then the next time I loaded it up, then it was like totally fine and it recognized it right away. And then this morning, I went to play some stuff, and it again took forever for the Switch to recognize the stick, and I had to like power cycle the Switch, and it's like still didn't work, and like turn the the arcade stick off and on a few times, and then like eventually it just like popped up, but like it doesn't like just work every time in my experience, which is kind of an annoying thing for a controller.
So I have and I've talked about it a couple times on the show, but I have the SN or the SF30 Pro or whatever, the Super Famicom controller from 8-Bit Do. And, I use it with my Mac and my Switch, and I've used it with other stuff. And it can be a little bit tricky because there's like with that one anyway, because you can have it synced or you can use it with so many different devices. When you turn it on, you're supposed to press a different button or hold like a different button combination when you turn it on to have it connect to whatever device it is you want it to connect to. So I'm wondering if like with this stick, even I know you haven't connected it to anything else, but like if you're going to connect the SF30 Pro to an Android device, you're supposed to hold start and a different button. Or if you're going to connect it to the Switch, you're supposed to hold start and, whatever other button. So I wonder if there's like a go-to button combo you're supposed to use when you're powering it on to connect with the Switch. And like with the SF30 Pro, there was instructions, I think, that said that somewhere, but it was like not real clear. So
yeah, it's start and Y for the Switch.
Okay. So all right.
Yeah, because you can also use the stick on like Android devices and PCs and Macs and whatever too.
Yeah,
I've only used it on the Switch, but yeah, it's the same thing, but it is start and Y, and it just sometimes that blue light just sits there flashing like for pairing, and then it will just you go through restarting everything for a while, and then all of a sudden it will work. So
well, hopefully they'll push out an update to make that better, right?
Yeah, I would love that. I love updating this thing. Yeah. So I don't know, like I guess I'm happy with it because it's like when I'm actually like playing games with it, like I'm aside from the clickiness, like I'm pretty happy with it. Like it's such a cool experience to be able to just sit there with an arcade stick and like my Switch in vertical mode right in front of me, playing a shooter. Like that's awesome. But it's just like, I don't know. I'm just like, it's also like super annoying, like, because I kind of expect this stuff to just work these days. But I don't know. It's not.
Well,
but
I can see it because, like I said, from my experiences with the 8-Bit Do stuff, it can be tricky, or just not even tricky is not the right word, because that implies that like it's a difficult process, but if you do it right, it'll work. And I have found like, sometimes I press the right buttons and for whatever reason it's not connecting, you need to turn it off and do it again or whatever. So that is annoying. But man, I don't know if I can get one of these for like right now it's $60 on Amazon. So if I can. If they drop again, because stuff on Amazon, it frequently fluctuates in price. So
yeah,
if it gets down into the $40 range again, and I've got some money sitting around, I think I would like to get one.
Yeah,
myself,
I would say like I said, for $45, like that's a heck of a price. Like you really can't beat it, but it does get trickier when you're talking about like the retail price of $80.
Right. But even then, like, for a good stick that's wireless, like that's not a bad price if the stick is good. And how's the size of it? It's not like too small, because Hori has like a mini arcade stick that I was looking at too, but that's like pretty tiny, I think. So is this like a decent size? It doesn't feel too small. What do you think about that?
No, it's a good size. It's pretty comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did actually find it pretty comfortable to play with, and I tried a few different ways of positioning my hands and stuff, and I think it was good.
Okay, cool.
Size wise, it does like I really want to try the nice Hori stick for Switch. But that is $150, and that doesn't feel good. at this point. So I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would.
well, there's this Mayflash arcade stick too, but I don't think it's Bluetooth, which I kind of like the Bluetooth thing, you know? So,
Yeah.
I mean, assuming there's, you know, the lag is not bad or whatever, um, you know, it's kind of nice to be able to do a wireless thing.
Yeah,
So
no, I will say, yeah, it's super responsive. Like I was and I can talk about some of the games I've been playing, but like I've been playing like really twitchy shooters where like you pretty much have to like, you know, a split second of lag could cause you to you know, get shot. When there's a ton of bullets and you're being precise. But I definitely didn't notice anything like that, any lag issues or anything. So,
yeah,
but yeah, like once you get to the point where you actually, I don't even know if the Hori stick is wired or wireless
I don't
now,
know.
because if it's wired, I'm like way less interested because I want to be able to play with it on, you know, in tabletop mode.
Yeah.
So, hmm.
I assume it's wired. If it's not, it doesn't advertise it as being wireless. So
Yeah. Oh, it's tournament ready 10-foot cable.
mm-hmm.
Hmm. Okay. Well, then I guess the 8-bit dough and the Mayflash are your best options on Switch if you do want a
I don't think that. I think the Mayflash is wired also.
what?
Yeah, I think the only one that's not wired is the 8-bit dough.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, you actually have like this really great thing here that you know.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
all right. Cool then. Um yeah. All right. Well, then I guess in that case, I guess that makes it a little bit better.
Man, it's a you end up going down a rabbit hole when you're looking on Amazon for Switch stuff. Though I'm looking at now a Nintendo Switch stand DIY hardwood arcade cabinet play stand for $14.99 on
I
Amazon.com.
saw that. I
Yeah,
just
looks kind of
looked at
cool.
that. Um no, I would get a Hori stand. I kind of recommend that to anyone. I think it's pretty sweet.
So that Hori stand, it's not. Is it advertised as being a vertical stand, or is it like the foldable one that's just meant to like have it be like horizontal, but you're using it vertically?
Yes.
Yes, it's the horizontal one, but you're using it vertically.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
And it you know, you obviously you take the Joy-Con off and then it just like sits there and it's super sturdy and nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So the actual games I've been playing, I've been playing a ton of the Psycho releases on the Switch. They've been releasing every week or every couple weeks. There's a bunch of them on there now. Like I've talked before about like Gunbird and Strikers, and pretty much any Psycho game on the system is worth buying. They are $8 and they are wonderful shooters. And two of my favorites have come out recently. One is Tengai, which was originally released in 1996, and it is the sequel to Sengoku Ace. But what's interesting about it as a sequel is Sengoku Ace was a vertical shooter, and Tengai is a horizontal shooter. But it still has the I guess it's a sequel in like aesthetic. because it still takes place in like the Sengoku era of Japan, but it's also like a very weird interpretation of that era. And it's a super fun vertical or horizontal shooter. And you don't have to just take my word for it, because Nintendo Life gave it a 9 out of 10, which is pretty great. Yeah, $8 on the eShop, super fun game. But I think at this point, if I could recommend one Psycho game on the Nintendo Switch, it it would either be Gunbird or this next game, Dragon Blaze, which was released in 2000. This is another one that got a 9 out of 10 from Nintendo Life. It is a vertical shooter, so this is one that I've been playing in Tate mode. And you can change the orientation in the options menu of all these games. So this is one I've been playing on the stand with my arcade stick, and it's so good. It has a fantasy setting, which I guess you could tell from the game being called Dragon Blaze. But it's like an anime take on like Western high fantasy. So that's pretty cool. And I think it's probably the best looking of the Psycho games on Switch. The art in it is just gorgeous. Like, especially I prefer to play these games with the I think it's Type 3 screen filter, which is like light scan lines. And when you put this game into Tate mode with like the Type 3 filter on it, like, it looks so good. It is just gorgeous. There's like so much detail in like the characters and the stuff in the foreground, but also in the background. And there's tons of like everything is like super well animated. There's tons of just like little random details and animations that you may not even notice the first couple times you play, but tons of really cool stuff. And then it also has an awesome soundtrack. It's not a ton of tracks because the game isn't like a ton of levels, but the music in it is really, really good. So I would say, like, if you're going to check out like one of the Psycho shooters on Switch, I would say either grab Gunbird or this one, Dragon Blaze. It's so awesome for $8. Highly recommend it.
Cool. Yeah. That sounds pretty sweet to have this whole setup going with the stand and the stick and some arcade games, and yeah, that seems pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a good life.
Gunbird made quite a splash when it released on Switch, right? That was like a month or two ago.
Yeah, that was one of the early ones, and I think that was like the maybe the best known of the Psycho shooters, like, okay. Because Gunbird 2 released on Dreamcast and Capcom published it, and they actually published it in the West, but yeah, I don't know. It's really good. It's like Gunbird is also, it's really really fun and funny. But I don't know, like, I had never actually played Dragon Blaze before, before it came out on Switch, and like I've just like fallen in love with this game. I like it so much.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, 9 out of 10 from Nintendo Life. I like it so much from Ryan. I mean, yeah, sounds like it must be pretty good.
Yeah, it
All right.
is.
All right.
All right, now on to the main event.
Yeah. Well, okay. So like I watched The Wizard yesterday with my kids. Yeah. Which I mean, we've all seen it many times, I'm sure, but I watched it again yesterday because I'd shown it to my older son like a couple years ago, and we were mentioning wanting to watch it again. So I ended up buying it because I've rented it probably 2 or 3 times on digital platforms now. I'm like, you know what? It's only available on DVD. I don't want to buy the DVD, so I might as well just buy the download, because it doesn't seem to be coming out on Blu-ray. So I just went ahead and bought it on iTunes, and it's pretty awesome. I as I was watching, I was like, well, let me try to like identify a couple notable things about this movie here for the podcast. One, which I thought was interesting, is that the director of photography on this movie is Robert Yauman, who is Wes Anderson's director of photography. He's done beautiful movies like The Royal Tenenbaums, and he did The Squid and the Whale. Let's see, what else has he done notable? Dogma, if you're a fan of that. But
wow,
he did
the
movie,
quite the resume.
Drugstore Cowboy. So yeah, he's like a very legitimate director of photography, and he shot The Wizard, so that's why
nice, arguably his finest work. It
is a good looking movie though. There's some nice like scenic vistas, and like it's all out there. A lot of it's like a sort of a road trip movie. You're on the road out there out west, and some nice looking shots. So, but anyway, yeah, that was pretty interesting. There's a scene in the movie which you probably remember, inside the game counselor's office, the Nintendo game counselor. They got to get him ready for Video Armageddon, the big contest at the end of the movie, and so they're really making these Nintendo game counselors work overtime, going into those binders and trying to find the information about all the different games they need to learn. So
and that's a montage sequence.
Yes, it is.
If I remember correctly, like it is like a straight up like Rocky training sequence, but like being good at NES games.
Yes, yeah. Another thing that's notable about the movie, and this is only going to probably work for people who are watching the video version of the show here, but Beau Bridges, who plays, is it Beau? It's Beau Bridges, right? Who plays the dad? Or, no, is it Jeff? Oh, it's not Jeff Bridges. It's his brother. Which Bridges brother is it? Anyway, the dad in the movie, and Christian Slater too, both of them, whenever they're playing like an NES game, they hold the controller like, and they kind of go like this, like they really shake the controller around as they're playing, so it's like, oh, I got to get through this level in Ninja Turtles to get to Mega Turtle, and he's like shaking the thing all over the place, like using
that gyro.
Yeah, no, there's no gyro though. I don't know if people played video games like that at the time. I don't think so. But anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. And let's see what else. Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I don't know. I mean, there's some great games in The Wizard. Double Dragon, Super Mario 2 and 3, F1 Dream. Are you familiar with that game?
I am not. I saw that in the notes, and I don't know what that game is.
It's an arcade game that it kind of looks like Outrun. It's like behind the car, like racing game. But I didn't know that game. Red Racer, of course, the Power Glove. Come on, we've all seen The Wizard. I'm pretty sure. So, but I really do like the movie, though. I actually really like the Wizard. It's fun to watch. Movie. Yeah.
I also find it like weirdly emotional too.
I teared up at the end. It's like this goofy, like, I mean, there's like emotional parts throughout, but it's like this goofy, like road trip, like video game movie. But then the like last scene in the movie inside that dinosaur is like really intense.
The first time I showed the movie to Lindsay, like when we first started dating, I was like, hey, check out this like dumb 80s video game movie. Like, let's watch this. It'll be hilarious. And I totally cried at the end.
Yeah, I mean, he's, California. He was just looking for a way to say goodbye to his sister. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my 4-year-old asked me, why did he forget his lunchbox there? And I couldn't really, I didn't want to explain to him that it was like a poetic thing and that he was finally ready to say goodbye, but that is, I think, what's happening there, Ryan. So,
man.
Yeah, it's a great movie. There was, if you want to hear an actual conversation about the Wizard, there was a good Retronauts episode about it a couple months back. So they did a whole episode about the Wizard. So I think it was a panel, right? Wasn't it a panel with Jeremy Parrish was interviewing the kid who played Lucas, right?
Right.
Well, he's now a man, but yeah, that was pretty cool. So.
No, it's a fascinating movie, and it's one that's like really, really interesting to return to. I would love to see it get a Blu-ray release. I think there's a lot that could be done with it at this point, because there has been so much like discussion, and it's become this kind of like cult thing in like the past, I don't know, like decade or so, I'd say. And yeah, I think it's great.
I also watched Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, on Friday night, if you want to talk about that. But no, I did not actually pull out the NES game. I do like to do that from time to time, but did not get around to playing that this Friday the 13th. But we'll do that in the future for sure. And actually, speaking of video game movies, we didn't talk about, which I guess why would we, but we didn't talk about the Billy Mitchell, Steve Wiebe, King of Kong, scoring controversy.
Yeah. So if you watch that documentary and the whole time you were thinking, wow, Billy Mitchell really sucks. Turns out, yep, he sure does.
Okay. Wow. I guess Nintendo Fun Club has taken a stance on the issue. It's no gray area here. The hot sauce is good, I think. I would assume.
Wait, you think the hot sauce is good? I don't know.
Well,
is it even real hot sauce?
No, it's real hot sauce.
Or is it tool assisted?
All right.
Yeah. No. Cool. Yeah,
hey,
I think. Oh, what? Yeah.
No, we need to wrap up.
Yeah,
I think we should wrap up. And you were getting ready to wrap up, but I was just going to say we're 5 days away from Labo.
Yes.
So that's what the future holds for Nintendo Fun Club podcast.
Yeah, that will
Labo's
be
on the way.
The next episode will be our hands-on.
Our Labo blowout. As of now, Ryan says he's not going to buy the robot costume Labo thing, but I won't be surprised, Ryan, if you're wearing that robot suit on the next episode.
Yeah, I guess that wouldn't surprise me either. I've always wanted to be a Gundam. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited to get our variety pack here. Like it's crazy. Like some stores have accidentally put it out already before street date. So like I've seen pictures of the packaging and everything, and it looks super fun. Yeah, it'll be interesting. If it the amount of attention it gets, because it's also like it's like it's such a weird release day, because it's coming out on 4/20, which is whatever, but also it comes out the same day as God of War.
Oh,
so I think it'll be interesting to see what like how much the pop culture conscious can hold in that weekend, in that day. So because I feel like Labo is something that like it needs to be a thing that's like on Twitter and on YouTube and on Instagram, and like it needs to like get that have that like social media presence to really take off, like once people start doing weird stuff with it and talking about how fun it is. And um I don't know, we'll see what the reaction is. There is a thread on Reset Era about how it's going to fail, um because of course there is. And so we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, it's hard to know. Like when they first announced it, it seemed like it would be like a very big deal and, you know, could be a huge hit. And I still think it could be. But like a couple days away from it coming out, it doesn't really feel like it's this like big sensation that's people are really excited for. But hopefully when it lands and we start to play with it and stuff, and you know, hopefully I think it's obviously, you know, hopefully it'll catch on with kids too. That's what it really needs to do. I think the same way Wii Sports needed to catch on with like an expanded audience that wasn't just, you know, your standard gamer or whatever, and it did. I think this to be successful, like it needs to be popular with kids, and hopefully it will be. I wonder too, it'd be interesting to know kind of like what the demographics are for Switch owners too, because part of me wonders like how many kids are Switch owners at this point versus like adults and stuff, you know, because it's still pretty expensive tech and it's like a newer thing. And I feel like Nintendo systems are obviously usually popular with kids, but it seems like, you know, the longer they're out, the more they're able to like build up a presence and build up a library and sort of like get price reductions and stuff. Like that's when like they become bigger with kids, you know, like Nintendo systems. So like 3DS I think is pretty huge with kids now, but the first probably 2 years I don't know how popular it was with kids. I think it was more like us playing 3DS for the most part, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see, does this sell switches to kids, or is this like not necessarily able to grab hold just because there's not enough kids that have Switches to go out and buy Lapo? But we'll see.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting the build up to the holidays. Like again, like I think like I can't say if Labo is going to be a huge success or a huge failure. Like I can't say that definitively, but I do think it is going to like live or die by its social media presence. And if it's something that like gets people talking, which I think it has a lot of potential to do, like especially once you start getting into like you know, custom versions and stuff like that, and when people start making like the type of stuff that Nintendo can't even anticipate, I think that's going to you know, really expand its like presence. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited to like take some pictures though and turn them into excite bike courses and and you know, drive that RC car thing around. And yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it. So
it's gonna be a fun weekend.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Well, now I'm really going to wrap up this episode for real. Yeah, if you want to get a hold of us, just pop over to NintendoFunClubPodcast.com. We have show notes, we have contact info, we have links to the YouTube videos, whatever. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, wherever. You can find me on Twitter at Brandwarf, BRAWNDWARF. And what about you, John?
I am on Twitter at Arcade Ghost.
Cool. Well, thanks a ton for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye.
California.
Too soon.